My next guest on the PWD Allies podcast is going to be revealing the pulse of BC politics. So stay tuned. The pulse. Maybe, is it like an atmospheric river or something? The pulse? I don't know. The pulse of politics in BC. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned and talk to you soon. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host. Joining me is Neil Matheson, my editor-producer from Surrey, British Columbia. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
Yeah, how's the weather out in your area?
It's kind of dreary again today.
Yeah, and I'm broadcasting from the capital region of British Columbia, Victoria, BC. Just for our viewers and listeners that are following along, maybe you're new today. So I'm in the capital region, and also joining me is a former MLA for Peace River North, Dan Davies. How are you?
And also the former shadow minister too.
Former shadow minister for social development and poverty reduction.
Yeah.
How are you, Dan?
Good morning, Brent, Neil. I'm doing good. You guys are talking about rain and such.
Yeah.
With the wind chill today, we're minus 33, and we got heavy snow right now, and it's supposed to be almost 40 below here this week with a couple of feet of snow. So, yeah, you have no sympathy from me.
No. It makes Victoria feel like a tropical region.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. So how things been out in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been what now, just over a year, I guess, year and almost a year and a half coming up since the election.
Mm-hmm.
I've started my own business now. I've got a consulting firm, Davies North and Associates. So I've started my own business, but really doing a lot of the same stuff I was doing before. I'm still helping organizations. I'm helping people connect with government. I'm a registered lobbyist here in British Columbia. I'm doing public relations and government relations for a couple different groups, ranging from the nonprofit sector to the resource sector. So it's been busy. I've been down in Victoria. Certainly nothing like I was before as the MLA, but been in Victoria. Yeah, I get down there about once a month, and we'll have to go out for a coffee, Brent, when I'm in town next. And
for sure.
Well, I always thought you were one of the good guys. You were one of the good guys, Dan. So I think the legislature misses you. I miss you, I know, and I think even with the turnover of the Greens too, like Sonia Furstenau, because I still remember I have a very I remember watching it was you and Sonia Furstenau, and you were in one of the rooms of in the back room of the legislature somewhere, and you were debating a bill with Sheila Malcolmson, and you both were lobbing questions back and forth, and it was brilliant. And the teamwork between the two of you, I love seeing that.
Tag team.
It was so good. And
I agree. At the end of the day, when we're supporting people, and especially PWD, and all of those facets, it's not a partisan issue.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonia and I were certainly of the same mindset, and yeah, she was the Green Party and I was the center right party, BC United at the time. But at the end of the day, it comes down to people and dignity of people. And I think we spoke there just a few minutes before the podcast came on, and unfortunately we haven't really seen things improve much in the last 8 or 9 years. And I still feel a bit upset that government hasn't delivered on many of their promises that they've been saying for the last number of years. So Sonia and I, we definitely connected on that, and I'm certainly still an advocate for persons with disabilities, and supporting them in any way I can.
Yeah, there was a new development of an announcement that the BC well, the BC Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, under the current MLA Honorable Sheila Malcolmson, there was a they call it spousal cap, Dan. So they made it sound like they removed the full spousal cap, but they didn't. They kind of tweaked it and saying, well, two PWD under one household, or they always had one check, and with a top up, right? So it was like rather than two full PWD checks. So now they've basically said two full PWD checks, but what they've done is that they've topped up a little bit, and then they basically clawed back instead of $500 for two shelters, they still left it at $695. So really, they didn't really fix that problem. And then the earnings exemption, that's still all buggered up too, right?
I just wish she hadn't have called it ending the spousal cap,
Yeah,
because she didn't end the disposal cap at all. It was just a minor tweak.
yeah, there was a lot of pushback within the disability community as soon as they heard the splashy announcement. Then they started diving into it, and the disability organizations, they started looking into it too, and all these questions. But the government said, well, yeah, I mean, there's more to do to fix that. And then just recently, though, there was another announcement on Global BC. They put out a damning report of a whistleblower came forward. One of the workers within the Ministry of Social Development Poverty Reduction,
like a case manager.
case manager, has been there over 20 years. And she basically just said how it is, and there's no verification checks. There's a whole bunch of things, but the part that really is disheartening is that it makes it look like all PWD are cheats, varmints, and deadbeats. You know what I mean? Like it puts that
Going back to 1993, 94,
Yeah.
when Mike Harcourt said it.
Yeah, it makes it look like that the PWD are they're just milking it for what they can, and I know that that's not true. There's a lot of I think monies that are getting paid out that obviously that shouldn't get paid out. It's getting paid out to even businesses, Dan. Like I was like, wow, really? Like so. I mean, the minister, hasn't really, I guess, reached out regarding that media blips, but it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, and we spoke on when I was last on your program there some time ago, and met you guys on the front lawn of the legislature a number of times at different events.
Mm-hmm.
That whole spousal issue was certainly prevalent then, and I too, when I first heard the announcement, I was like, finally, they listened.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to some people that are in the same boat, and it was like, it wasn't what the splashy announcement was, and we still have people now, again, almost penalized for being in a relationship, being married.
Yeah.
So
Because,
it's unfortunate that we're still in the same boat.
Well, remember the last time you were on, Dan, it was the Schrodinger's cat episode. Remember that? Remember that the cat can be both alive and dead, right?
That's right.
This whole thing of like it can be true and untrue at the same time. And that's kind of what we have with the legislation. It's like it can be true and false at the same time, and it's just like you can't have legislation like that. It's just bananas.
And then we were there for the media blitz of it, and it was like the minister was congratulating Sonia and myself and Jeff. For getting them to where they are now, and we thought that they had solved the spousal cap, and so we were just cheering it like and meanwhile shortly after, then we realized, well, wait a minute, this wasn't fully fixed, and then it was like, oh well, we thought it was actually fully fixed, and so we're congratulating, and then realized, well, there's still more to do. Always that kick the can down the road, and and the baby steps they done. It's like, wow. Just fix it all at once and just be done with it. But no, it's always excuses. And we had a media blitz with the Green Party, and it was wonderful. I think they thought maybe that it was going to be fixed also, and that's what I think what happened there. And I don't know. Like the government says, well, they're broke. They're broke.
Yeah.
Well, and here is the issue. here is the issue. And I know I brought this up. I know I spoke about this last time.
Mm-hmm.
And the government was broke then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The government is more broke now. Broke in two sense of the terms. Broke as in broken,
Right.
but
Yeah.
broke as in they have no money. We've got an unbelievable amount of debt, an
Mm-hmm.
unprecedented deficit that the province is running.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is old numbers. I go back to from the time that British Columbia joined Confederation in 1871
Mm-hmm.
uh, up until 2018,
Mm-hmm.
the province had acquired $50 billion in debt over
Mm-hmm.
that 100 and almost 50 years.
Yeah.
Well,
From 2017 until now,
mm-hmm.
we're talking 8 years,
Yeah.
we are now over $200 billion in debt.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
It took 150 years to get $50 billion in debt.
yeah.
It's taken this government
8 years.
8 years to go
Wow.
from 50 billion to 200 billion, and we're still
Wow.
running multi-billion-dollar deficits every single year.
Mm-hmm.
So when the government says we're broke, they are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, here is the challenge. When they're looking at cutting things or to save money, it's the vulnerable that are
Mm-hmm.
always the hardest hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it nothing has probably ever been true now. And there are more, and I'm not just talking, persons with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking the whole gamut of anybody who is vulnerable, marginalized,
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
the first ones to be hit and are the first ones to be in trouble when it comes to there are no extra supports. The challenges across the board. We're looking at inflation that's unprecedented. Um, and the money hasn't changed. No one's making any more
Yeah.
money. Yep,
Exactly.
everything's 50, 60, 70% higher.
Yeah.
So we have a huge problem, and it's very easily solved, and some people don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
but and there was always this real, when we talk politics and you're talking about elections, they're
Mm-hmm.
saying it's about the economy, stupid, right? Like
Yeah.
it all comes down to the economy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we get a lot of people, unfortunately, saying we don't want a resource sector. We don't want forestry. We don't want the natural gas sector. We don't want mining. We don't want all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we're in trouble
Yeah. You don't want
because
money then. Yeah.
Yeah.
that is the revenue source that the,
Yeah.
the province cannot just rely on taxes
Exactly.
because all British Columbians are taxed at an unbelievable rate. There's no more room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're overtaxed. Services, service fees and all that stuff. There's no more room there. The tourism, sure, it does bring some revenue, but it's tiny when we're
Mm-hmm.
talking the revenue that this province needs to run. We're the green economy. Yes, there is money there, but again, it's minuscule
Yeah.
in regards to what we need to run the province. This province needs to really step back and look at how do we really grow our economy. And again, we're not talking about, wreck the environment and look at all these issues.
Mm-hmm.
There are, British Columbia does things amazingly. We have a natural gas sector, a little bit of oil. There's not very much oil, but it's predominantly natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
We do it unbelievably environmentally friendly. We have great living standards. People make good wages. There's revenue that's brought lots of revenue that's brought in from the natural gas sector, as is mining, as is forestry. Well, if we look at natural gas, we look at mining, we look at forestry, they're all dead now. They've all been
Oh,
reduced
yes.
a shadow
Yeah.
of themselves in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
last 8 years.
I mean, you
Yeah.
look at the that controversial discussion that, well, I'm going to say controversial because it is between the Alberta Premier
Oh yeah,
and of course BC's Premier David Eby,
yeah,
the pipeline but saying, well, if there's a project there, I want to see the paperwork, like make it happen, and so it's kind of like throwing like a hand grenade back and forth. I mean, what do you see? Like, do you see that ever happening? Like, I mean, of the pipeline ever going through, Dan? I mean, I don't know. Like, you know,
You
they
know,
said
to be
that tanker
honest,
traffic. Like, then they talk about the tanker traffic. Well, yeah,
so and again, it's a balance, right? And
yeah,
you know, we need to, and you know, a lot of this does land in the Prime Minister's office.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, and depends how hard you. At the end of the day, if the Prime Minister and the federal government decides that this project is for the national interest,
Mm-hmm,
the federal government has the ability to say this is going through,
mm-hmm,
regardless, right? And they can push it through.
mm-hmm,
But you know, we see though there are some tools in the toolbox, and it's not a great toolbox that the NDP can use, this government in British Columbia, to delay things, to make things
Yeah.
difficult. We saw this with the Trans Mountain. You know, the
right.
Trans Mountain was an on-budget pipeline that was all invested with private investors.
Mm-hmm,
Then, you know, the our provincial government, you know, just threw everything they could at it, court cases and challenges and this and that. Finally, the private industry said, "We're done. We're out."
they
Like
walked away. Yeah.
they walked away. It's too risky. We can't do it. And
Hmm.
now it was a taxpayer funded project that was
Oh,
way
wow.
over budget because of it. You know, the federal government's the one who went in and bailed it out.
Mm,
And, you know, we needed it. We still know we need it.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, oil is not going anywhere anytime soon. You know, the
mm-hmm,
world still predominantly relies on oil. And only a small little bit of that actually is for burning in your automobile. Most of it's going to, you know, hey, my shirt that I'm wearing, you
yeah,
know,
Mhm.
the headphones that you're wearing, the
Right.
computer board that we have. I mean,
yeah.
it's all plastic. Plastics are made from oil. Like
Yeah.
what isn't made from plastic?
Yeah.
So we need to understand that um, you know, the rest of the world will turn to Russia. They will turn to, you know, the Middle East states, Saudi and others, or Nigeria, where they don't have environmental standards to look after our planet. They don't have labor codes.
Mhm.
You know, they don't care who, like, you know, just short of, or maybe even a little bit of slave labor. I mean, they have no human rights.
Mhm.
So why would we not in Canada, you know, use our skills, you know, the technology that Canada has, the innovation that we've created. And remember, most of the modern world looks to Canada for innovation,
Mm-hmm,
especially in many of these aspects, and supply, you know, supply the rest of the world with the goods that they need, and then boost our economy. And
mm-hmm.
our
Mhm.
economy, if our economy is firing on all cylinders, wow, you know
Oh,
what
yeah,
we can do? We can support people. We can support
exactly.
people.
Yeah.
We can, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's PWD, whether it's building hospitals or hiring doctors or nurses or educating our young people, we can do all of that with these resources that are flowing to the rest of the world that is hungry for them. Like when we have, you know, when we have the chancellor of Germany, you know, the prime minister of Japan and South Korea and these other countries coming to Canada saying, please send us your goods, because right now we rely on some not so good players around the world, the Russias, the, you know, these other countries, and they're asking us, and we're like, you know, maybe not.
Yeah.
We're trying to focus on tourism and only the green economy.
Mhm.
Well, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
we still
mm-hmm,
have a green economy, and I don't say we need to ignore that, but we need to also continue to do these other pieces responsibly, which we do, and
Yeah.
again, get our economy going so we can look after our people.
mm-hmm. It's
Well,
like
talk.
building the ferries within the shipyard, like the BC ferries. Like,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I know. I heard
Yeah.
that announcement. I'm like, say what?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
talking.
was pretty shocked when I heard that they were actually
Yeah,
Yeah.
building the BC ferries
yeah,
in China,
yeah,
especially in the middle of what we're all talking about the last couple of years. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
our economy's in trouble, not only in BC but across Canada.
Mm-hmm,
Uh,
And when you talked about shooting yourself in the foot, Dan, I immediately wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about David Eby because it seems everything he does, he's deliberately shooting himself in the foot for everything. I mean, we could start with as soon as he became premier, he increased the public service by 50%. And then he got all these advisors, special advisors, and he
And tell
fired
you
one,
what,
and then he brought another one, and he fired that one, and he brought another one, and
Whole bunch of
and
them.
I mean, I actually spent over 7 years as a public service employee myself, way back, and it started in the late 90s to very early 2000, and I was part of the work that I did, and but I mean, why do you need to balloon up the public service by that much? And
You don't.
it's
well,
just crazy.
and
Yeah.
and and herein lies another big problem. We have an economy that's not generating any revenue right now for the province, but
Hmm.
we have a province that's spending like drunken sailors.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I can't remember. I haven't looked at the numbers recently. It's been a little while, but our the public sector since 2017, and again, I'm going back to when the NDP took over. The public sector, has grown by pushing 100,000 people.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
at least.
So would I complain
Hmm.
if, my goodness, there was no waits in emergency? Everyone had a family doctor. ICBC was rolled out. There was no issues. Our roads were being cleared without issues. Everything was like, if customer service was like we're in this euphoria of some sort. All right,
Hmm.
I could justify you've hired 100,000 new people,
Yeah.
but things are worse.
Yeah, I
Things
know.
are worse with more people, and it's
Yep.
I don't understand it. It just,
Yeah.
my goodness, it's crazy. It's insanity.
Well,
Yeah.
especially it's like hiring a consultant to go down into Vancouver. I mean, the pushback on that, I heard on the media. I'm sure you heard that too, Dan. For the MSDPR, the announcement came out in February, but the public, we didn't get to hear this till months later. Then all of a sudden, it's like people push back saying, what, $150,000 to go and hire a consultant to say what the problem is about eliminating poverty on the street level, eliminating
Ask you
homelessness.
guys. Ask you
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. And we
And
we've told
who
them,
was the last advisor, Brent? It was supposed to be a minimum. It was going to be a maximum of $58,000 salary maximum, and
Mhm.
now it's like a quarter of a million now,
Yeah, yep,
right?
I mean, even the premier having to hire a speechwriter, a comedian,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
a hundred and
oh,
some $1,000 to make
oh,
his speeches a little funner.
Why doesn't he hire Brent?
yeah. I
He
can do it.
already has.
Brent's got a lot of good one-liners,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Right.
And I still don't find the premier funny on a lot of stuff he
No, I
says.
know.
He is, but
Yeah.
you know, and this is it. I mean, it's unfortunately, and am I saying the previous government was perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I think there was some direction,
Mhm.
Yeah.
direction on, there was a correlation between, okay, we need a strong economy. If we get that, we can provide more support. And there
Mhm.
was a movement toward that. And I don't think it was going quick enough myself. But
Mhm.
Hmm.
we've now it's off the rails now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and the problem is that the elected officials, I mean, they're supposed to be there to represent your needs or like and listen and take in the information actually and have a game plan of implementing these ideas in. I mean, are they going to reach their goal? I mean, they'll do their best they can. I mean, they can't promise everything perfect. I mean, God rest John Horgan's soul. It's I mean, he always said that, I can't promise, to make everything perfect. And he says, and I won't try. He said, I remember that. I won't, I mean, I can't guarantee anything, but I remember him always telling me, Dan, is that he says, you just keep holding the current government accountable. Just because I'm the premier, you still have to hold me accountable and basically keep advocating, keep pushing the ministry. And I said, well, they're not listening. Well, then you need to make it louder. You need to make your voice even louder and keep amplifying it. Like he would be kind of coaching me of just standing up for what I believe in and just letting your voice shine and bring in other advocates and maybe ones that are maybe not as well spoken. I mean, and just getting their stories heard and getting it out there. And yeah, I mean that's what we have to do. And it's just so frustrating when you I mean, it doesn't matter which minister. And I mean, I truly really adore Sheila Malcolmson for her what she's trying to achieve. but at the same time, it's I guess I want the other advocates to understand too. It's not just the minister that's actually in that ministry. There's a lot more that goes on. I mean, she's there, whoever is there to represent, but it's also a lot of policies. It's a lot of within the policies that have to be modernized and they have to be changed. I mean, I could plunk my next door neighbor in there, and they would be the same thing of the same situation. And it's but getting the minister to actually recognize that yes, there are problems, and they need to reach out to whoever within and get that changed. I guess my point is that I mean the voices need to be heard somewhere, and if they're not being heard, we have to find out why are they not being heard. But at the same time, it's the resources are not there. I mean, the government can't just squeeze the money out of nowhere if the money's not there. I mean, it doesn't help when they gave $60,000 to 42 MLAs. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, mismanagement right there. But there has been a lot of call. I mean, I hear in my community, Dan, that a lot of people saying, well, can they not even just at least tie the rates to inflation? I'm like, well, that is something that they can do. I mean, the most minimum. I mean, I think they should do more, but obviously economic hard times. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What's your take on all that, what I just mentioned?
Well, I mean,
That's a hard one, but
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think all these different groups, and certainly in the PWD world, they're being listened to, but are
Mhm.
they being heard? Right?
Yeah.
And for someone to sit there and nod
Mhm.
and just agree with you
Yeah.
is one thing, but how does government put that into action? And it goes back to, I mean, Sheila Malcolmson, yes, she's one individual, she's a minister.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, she sits around the cabinet table with 25 others or 24 other ministers, including the premier.
Mhm.
And they each have to state their case about, the importance of each of their files. So where that goes beyond that, of course, I have no idea. Obviously, we've seen PWD rates not keep up, not even near inflation for that matter.
Mhm.
So there's an issue in itself. Um, I still think, and it goes back to my other you know mention that I mentioned a few minutes ago was nothing is going to change until the province starts having revenue again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and again, I'm just saying, since
Yeah.
2017, we've
Yeah.
had 4 credit rate droppings in on British Columbia.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Every time British Columbia's credit rating drops, our interest rate goes up.
Mhm.
Mhm. Which is
So when you just think about this and let this float around in your mind, the the interest payments alone on British Columbia's debt,
mhm.
if it were a ministry,
Yeah.
it would be the
Mhm.
largest budget out of all the ministries. It surpasses the whole healthcare ministry.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow.
Just the interest rates every year
It's
Mhm.
over
on,
$5 billion now. The
Yeah.
oh,
interest.
I,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the number is, but
I think it's 5.1 or 5.3
Yeah.
billion for
it is
interest.
it is
Yeah.
unfathomable
I
Yeah.
mean,
the
just to
amount.
put that into our listeners, our viewers. So to lift people out of legislative poverty in BC, that number that we're throwing out there right now is like just over $5 billion approximately. To lift people on like seniors, okay, people on low income, the most marginalized, people with disabilities. I mean, anybody low income, it'd be like around 1.3, $1.4 billion a year. So you look at, I mean, that's just to lift them up to the MBM. Okay, so imagine if we're talking over 5 billion, so that's almost 5 years worth of interest payments
Yeah.
that are getting flushed.
It,
Wow.
it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane. And yeah, you're right, Neil. I just did a quick look here. It's $5.2 billion
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
expected to be 7.1 by 2027.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
nuts.
Wow.
Seven, and that's just interest.
Yeah.
That does not benefit British Columbians one iota.
Hmm.
That
Wow.
that that number.
that money
And
gets flushed. Yeah.
And we should say too, I know as well that it's almost uh, the interest payment has doubled just in the 3 years that almost doubled just in the 3 years that EB took over. It's
Hmm.
almost doubled
oh, it is. Yeah.
in just the 3 years that EB's taken over. It's doubled that much.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
there was a $6 billion surplus, and
yeah.
now they're saying 11.2 billion. But that number was it was actually over $13.2 billion. They borrowed out of a projected amount of like 18 years forward of payments, and they borrowed it and they put it down there instead of 13.2. Now it's 11.2 to make it look better. Maybe I don't know. What's Yeah, that was
Oh,
that.
and then they did some pinky unicorn math as well, Brent. Remember they took remember there's that cigarette
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The $2 billion.
yeah, the $2 billion for the cigarette lawsuit thing.
Hmm.
That's going to be paid over 18 years.
Yeah, but they
and
borrowed it.
and they're just taking that $2 billion and attaching it to the budget for 2025 and saying, look, we've minus $2 billion, but it's going
Yeah,
to be money that's paid over 18 years. So
I mean, but a major surplus, and they turn it to a major deficit. Yeah, it's in within that time frame. I'm still baffled. Like, how can any government do that? They mean turn a major surplus into a major deficit. It's
yeah,
just, yeah, it's just,
Well, and here, and again, it's a balance.
yeah.
Back in 2017 when the government changed hand, they were handed $1 billion surplus,
Whoa.
hmm,
which is too much,
Yeah.
right? That means the government's pinched too hard,
Hmm.
yeah.
and should have been again. There's tons of stuff you could have done with $1 billion with
Hmm.
supporting PWD, supporting hospitals, supporting whatever. Like the list goes
Hmm.
on and on.
Let's all sing the song. If I had a
If
billion
I had $1
dollars,
billion,
if I had $1 billion,
Yeah, right, right.
right?
so but that's one extreme on this side. But we have gone so far now
Hmm.
to the other side that it's not sustainable, and like I say, I don't know. It's going to be so hard now. But again, the only fix that I see moving forward is a bolstering economy, and it is. I don't know any other way out of
Hmm.
Yeah,
the amount of deficit spending that we're in,
Hmm.
without looking at our resource sector. Like there is no way out
yeah,
Hmm.
because you can only borrow so many billions of dollars before the rest of the world says you're done, right?
yeah,
The credit card's maxed out,
yeah,
Hmm.
no more
But,
money. And
yeah.
well,
then
yeah.
and when the province hits that level, well then watch out. Like,
Hmm,
it's not even austerity measures. It's there is no more services.
yeah,
Hmm.
Everything, and you're onto a complete other spectrum in regards to how government supporting social services. I mean, you're going back to the dirty 30s, back
Oh, yeah.
there
yeah.
was nothing.
And
So
that's why I kind of look at budget 2026 next year. And one of my neighbors who lives in adjacent to a building that's just not even half a block from where I live was asking me, well, Brent, do you think there's going to be a rate increase in budget 2026 for PWD in BC? I go, sadly, I would say no. I said, I'm sorry. I said, but I really don't. I don't think so. The government's really in a bad situation. I said, I'll keep advocating. I'll keep pushing. Like John Horgan would say way back when, Dan, and at a SkyTrain announcement, actually in the Lower Mainland, in Langley, actually, he had told me that he was the only voice at the table that would be heard, and he will keep advocating. Oh, John, what does that mean? He goes, well, you know how that works, Brent. I mean, you were under an executive, so when you go to vote, it doesn't mean that everybody at the table is going to do the same thing how you want it done. And I guess my point is that when things make sense, it doesn't always mean that it's going to happen right in a timely manner. So yeah, like I mean, I hope that there will be an increase, but I don't. I'm hoping for, like, I know that the reality is that probably not. There's going to be a flashy announcement. There's more to do. But on a positive note, I want to let you know, Dan, there was one of your former colleagues. I was at the BC legislature just recently, and had we had a luncheon with the Honorable Sheila Malcolmson, and so we were getting ready to sit down, and guess who passed by me, Dan? Who wanted to say hello to Dan, because I said we have Dan, former Minister Dan Davies, coming on, and it was Eleanor Sturko.
Oh, Eleanor. Yeah, I hear she's on the show next.
And she's coming on next. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said, she goes, oh, she says, Dan, I love Dan. She says, oh, and she says, I watch your podcast all the time. I go, oh, you do? I said, so then you see that we sling David Eby under the bus. Oh, well, you know.
Well, here's another question for you though, Dan. Like, what's your opinion on if or when David Eby will call an early election?
Oh my God!
Like,
okay, let me get my crystal ball here.
Things are such a mess. Like things are such a mess.
It's crazy, you know. And I knew you'd ask this sooner or later. So, it is a mess, and it's been a bit of a mess. I mean, I've never seen the legislature functioning like this as it has in the last year and a bit. And there's a whole bunch of different things to look at. I mean, first and foremost, David Eby's, he's barely got a majority, right? He's got a 1-seat majority, which I call it a false majority, because I mean, there's a lot of things that could derail that. One person being sick is all it takes, and there's an issue there. So the only thing that's probably letting David Eby sleep at night is the disarray that's happening in the opposition right now.
Right. Yeah.
And we've got an opposition that through no fault of their own, they went from not having a seat in the legislature since the 1940s or 1950s, whenever it was, to coming within a few votes shy of being government.
Right.
So they came from nothing
wilderness
to something significant overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't, and John Rustad, obviously he was right place, right time. I mean, there was a blue wave across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Poilievre was very, very popular at the time, and people wanted to change. And I get that. I mean, I was part of that change. I'm not the MLA anymore. And my candidate here in Peace River North, he won handily as the Conservative candidate. Now that's a whole nother story. He lasted about 6 days in the legislature and quit. He was one of the early ones that quit the Conservatives. So he's an independent, which I was running for initially, and whatever. But again, that's another podcast.
Exactly.
But there's been they've had a number of people leave, including Eleanor. Which I mean,
she was like the star candidate there, and I just don't know.
Hey, watch Global News, and I will bet throughout the week you'd see Eleanor Sturko on the Global News or any other MLA in that legislature. I mean, she knows how to talk to media.
I mean, she's the one that blew the lid off of all the fentanyl redistribution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a huge story.
Yeah, and she has managed that fall amazingly, and still is, quite frankly, as a independent. So we're now in a weird stage. Of course, John Rustad has resigned or forced out. I mean, it depends what day you're looking at. That now triggers obviously a leadership race within the BC Conservatives. David Eby, he could play. He could play poker here and call an election while the BC Conservatives pants around their ankles right now, because they only have an interim leader, Trevor Halford from Surrey, who has no intentions on running for leader. So he is the interim leader while they make this election. But he may find himself, running as the leader and being premier. I mean, if the BC NDP do call an election,
right?
But I don't think David Eby will, and here's why. I mean, I think people are going to be like, okay, well, let's it looks like the Conservatives are going to be on a correction momentum here now to figure out, what their next steps are.
Mhm.
And people, quite frankly, are fed up with the BC NDP right now. People are pretty
Yeah.
upset. They're upset that they don't have jobs. Their young people in this province can't find work. The fentanyl issue, like the mental health and addictions
Mhm.
challenges that we're facing. um, the First Nations challenges that we're now seeing across the province with land,
The
and the
the
list goes on and on and on. And those
the,
things are
the
all clean up.
yeah, the democracy done in secret is what really bothers me now.
Well, and
It's
and
Yeah.
the amount of non-disclosure agreements that this
yeah.
government likes to sign with people, not likes to,
Hmm.
they make people sign,
Hmm.
is like nothing ever before. Making freedom of information requests harder than ever to get than they ever have been. Uh,
Mhm.
and all of these backroom deals. And
Yeah.
that's, I'm sorry, but a government needs to be transparent to the people that it represents.
Well,
And,
especially when
and
you get
we're
trying to
not
get
seeing that.
media, especially when you try to get media who want trying to, do stories like the reporters trying to, and they have to pay a huge fee to get the, info, and then it's all heavily redacted out too, and
Yeah,
then
you're getting a page of script, but it's all blacked out. Like, what is
yeah,
that?
yeah,
But
exactly.
the other interesting thing though is like you have the NDP on the left, and then you've got a whole bunch of parties now on the right. So, like, do you see somehow a rebirth of the BC Liberals? Like, I remember like the one episode you did before the Schrodinger's cat one. I remember, like, I wanted to tell you when you did the name change to BC United. I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, like,
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, like, that name change should have never happened. Like
Yeah.
I just thought, that's gonna be like bad. It's just gonna go bad. I just kind of had that, it was
Yeah,
in my
I
gut. I just thought this is gonna go. This is not gonna go well.
yeah.
I would need to be on this podcast for the next 4 hours to tell you
Oh yeah,
everything went bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right? And
no,
and
but
and and you're
yeah,
right. I mean, there was a series of, it was a bad rollout of the name change. Then we got Kevin Falcon, who was not the right leader. I mean, I was a big supporter of Ellis Ross. I still am.
Mhm.
He's a great MLA, now member of Parliament. He would have been great for the party moving forward. So here's what I can tell you. And this is going to be the challenge in the BC Conservatives. Um, the next election is up to the BC Conservatives
Mhm.
for the NDP to lose, and I'll tell you why. There needs to be, this province has always been center right,
Mhm.
center right, and
hmm
if you can get into that sweet spot with your party, whatever that is,
Mhm.
you will win. But it
hmm
only happens if it's a united center right.
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 Okay. And right now we've got the BC Conservatives. You got BC One, which is I call far right. Uh,
hmm
you've got a couple independents that are far right to right of center, depending on where they are. Far right will never, ever, ever win in the Lower Mainland and the southern tip of the island. Ever. It just won't.
hmm
Predominantly people across Canada, if statistics, it's about 75% people weave the center.
Mhm.
Oh, there's that sweet spot that you need. And this is why,
Yeah.
we've always called, like, even BC Liberal, BC United, called it a center right coalition.
Mhm.
The BC United or the BC Liberals were never a traditional liberal party. The name goes back to the word, if you look at the actual meaning of liberal, it's free, it's freedoms, it's
Yeah.
all government, it's actually everything Canadians want, right?
hmm
Mhm.
But the word liberal has been changed in Canada, certainly under our last prime minister. It really, really
Yeah.
changed a lot. But we need to get back to, and this is where the BC Conservatives do have some work ahead of them, and it is to try and create a strong coalition
Mhm.
focusing on, will and I was part of that caucus. I was part of the caucus, BC United, and BC Liberals, where we had people that were, from the federal Liberal side to the conservative side. I was on the conservative side.
Mhm.
Many of my colleagues were not. But you know what? We could agree probably on 80% of the things.
Mhm.
80% of the stuff that was meaningful, the
Mhm.
economy, most of the stuff in the economy that we could agree on, supporting people, all of these other pieces, a strong healthcare system. I mean, there's lots of things we can agree on.
Mhm.
Let's focus on those, for crying out loud then. Let's focus on what matters for British Columbians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can really focus on that and leave out that 15 or maybe even less, but that certainly 15% of the stuff that, you know what, that will not win an election, and that is not what matters to 90% of British Columbians.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is where the BC Conservatives need to come with that new identity to figure out, we need to have a fiscal conservative government more than ever before right now. We have to. But we also need one that's strong in the economy. So then we can look at doing the supports that we need to do as a government. And this is where the challenge is going to be, with the new leader of the BC Conservatives, if he's
Mhm.
depends on where they are on that spectrum,
Mhm.
to balance that. But if the party goes far right,
Mhm.
the NDP will win again.
Yeah.
And the Conservatives will be in opposition, and will be another 4 years of what we've had the last 8 years. So
Well,
the BC Conservatives have a lot of work ahead of them, identifying who they are, creating good, sound policy that the vast majority of British Columbians want, and that's going to be the challenge.
Well, we got
yeah,
the Central Party too, like Karen
Oh,
Capacity.
yeah.
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 Yeah,
I'm-
so I mean, they have no elected MLAs,
Mhm.
but the Corinne Kirkpatrick obviously does have Centre BC, which is
Mhm.
again trying to take that centrist party, and this is British Columbia has been down this rodeo before.
Oh yeah.
We had at the fall of the Social Credit Party back in the 1990s. You had the NDP for that decade in the 1990s, and
Mhm.
then you started having you had the Reform Party of British Columbia come in. You had
Yeah.
the Liberal Party of British Columbia. You had Social Credit running. You had some Conservatives running, and you had all of these center-right groups running.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the NDP are all united on the left.
Well, and
So
that's the thing.
the NDP win every time.
Yeah, and that's the thing
When
I
the
was
right
gonna.
is divided,
So,
the left will win.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the thing I was gonna pinpoint on, Dan, is the thing that really bothers me is you see David Eby kind of grandstanding up in the legislature, and I mean rightfully so in some ways, like because he is kind of pointing to as you said, the radical right.
Mhm.
But he keeps saying that the right is like a whole bunch of radical wing nuts. But
No.
he doesn't identify his own left. Like
Mhm.
they're just
Radical
they're
left.
just as radical as
Oh,
like,
hey, there's radicals on both sides. Like
oh, it's
Oh, yeah.
the far
crazy.
left, and there's actually the far left and far right. They come around. They almost touch each other on the other side.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're both at
Yeah.
that level
So
of
I just find it funny that he's
Yeah.
always pointing the finger, and I'm like, you should be pointing the finger right here because it's
Yeah.
just
Well, yeah, because
yeah.
I mean, I'll kind of reference that, that idea is because you look back in, like, say, the mid 90s, and we've talked before on the podcast, Neil, on that, is when PWD had a pension. And people were like, what? Yeah, well, it was like it's like a senior's equivalent of a pension. And then, of course, it got dismantled. And then that's kind of like it's almost like a far right or extreme far left, where like you had, like how you described that, far left and far right, where they almost reach each other, and they dismantle the pension and turn it into income means tested. And that was it was a terrible decision that they did back then, but it was cost cutting measures to find ways of them saving money within the government. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's exactly what happened. And again, when I said we've been down this rodeo
Yeah.
before, we are almost replaying right now
Yep. History.
the 1990s.
Yeah.
The NDP had a decade. Well, we're coming up on a decade with the NDP.
Yep.
Yeah, like how much money are these?
The right was
Yeah.
fractioned. Well, today the right is fractioned, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got four parties vying
Yeah.
for that little piece, four
Mhm.
parties trying to get those 50 seats that they need to be government. Well,
Yeah.
there's not enough room for four parties to get 50 seats. You need
Yeah.
one party that's unified, that can be a voice of reason, that covers the spectrum,
Mhm.
and to move forward. And it is really, really hard. It's much harder. It's much harder to control a right of center coalition than a left coalition,
Right.
Mhm.
because a right of center coalition is more about opinion and individual rights. So
Right.
there's more of this automatically just by virtue
Hmm.
of
Mhm.
people on the right. People, conservatives, want that whole piece.
Yeah.
And that's important to make that distinction. But there is room for that opinion, and that's what your caucus meetings are for. That's where you try and bring your opinions forward and persuade people through conversation and argument. If you're in government, that's why you have a cabinet that's mixed up of people from the spectrum. So there's that voice comes, so you can
Hmm.
make the right decision for all of British Columbians. And
Yeah.
like I say, this is going to be a huge challenge for whoever the next BC conservative leader is, to have that message of uniting the right,
Mhm.
and that was this happened in the late 1990s when Gordon Wilson,
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
was going around the province,
Yeah.
and he recognized,
Yeah.
we've got social credit, we've got reform, we've got conservatives, we've got liberals, all vying to take out the NDP.
Mhm.
Individually, it'll never happen. But when Gordon Wilson brought them all together
Mhm.
Yeah.
under the umbrella at that time of the BC Liberals,
Yeah.
which were not liberals, they were a
Yeah.
right center fiscal conservative party.
Mhm.
You know what happened? They swept the province.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They eliminated the NDP down to 2 seats.
I remember that
That.
debate on TV. I remember watching that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is why nothing gets done in British Columbia.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
In the debate.
classic line. Yeah.
They were
I
all
remember
fighting. They
that
were all
too.
fighting, and Gordon Wilson just like, and this is
Yeah.
why nothing gets
Yeah.
done. And we're there. We're
Yeah.
doing this again.
Yeah.
We're
It,
living this again, and
history is repeating itself. Like it's
history
like,
repeats itself.
yeah, and there's been a lot of call lately. And um, basically of PWD within the disability community within BC, and and it's kind of not really disappointing, but it's heart wrenching too, because I know that inside the minister who's in charge of MSDPR means well. I know she means well, but like I said earlier, it's the policy. But there's been a lot of call lately, Dan, of people saying that she needs to resign. She needs to step down. She needs to resign. What words could we use to maybe let the disability community know is about the minister? Like, I mean, is it that she needs to resign, or maybe put people's kind of, I guess, their anxiety at ease on that? What would you say, perhaps? I guess in your view.
Again, she's one cog in the wheel, right? Like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wheel's got 20, 24. I don't know how many ministers are. I think there's 24 or 25.
So
You know,
many.
she's one voice in at a table that is run by the premier.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, the premier is the one who makes the decision. David Eby
Yeah.
makes the final decisions on all of these little pieces around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And to me, I say this all rests with David Eby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just the simple fact that the state of affairs in the province, it's a trickle down effect. Our economy is tanked. The economy in British Columbia is crap, quite frankly. I mean,
Yeah.
I could use other harsh words, but I'll leave it
Yeah.
with that for a family friendly podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Our economy is crap, and as a result of a crappy economy,
Yeah.
the trickle down effect is everything else starts to fail.
Yeah.
Bottom line, and this isn't just British. You can look at any country, any jurisdiction around the world. When
Mhm.
your economy starts crumbling, everything else just falls apart.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my God, guys, there is no reason for our economy to be crumbling.
I
I
know.
know.
As
Yeah.
British Columbians, we are so blessed with the natural resources we have. The access to
Oh, I
ocean,
know.
and this is one thing where it's important. We're talking Danielle Smith's pipeline, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I don't disagree with it. We got to understand Canada's we're a confederation, right? We all
Mhm.
belong to Canada, and we all need to work together. The
Yeah.
ocean, the Pacific Ocean access or the Atlantic Ocean access isn't up to a province.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is to the benefit of Canada.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And no one should be able to say you can't have access to our ocean
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of
It
X, Y,
belongs
Z.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does not belong to me. It belongs to Canada,
Yeah.
meaning it belongs to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and you name it. It belongs
Exactly.
to all of us for economic benefit.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
And and
you
we
got the
must be the
U.S. oil
only,
tankers
we got to
going up
be the,
and down.
and that's the other thing, there's a tanker ban in place
Oh,
only for
yeah.
Canada.
Only
Yeah.
for Canada. Yeah,
Only for
Yeah.
Canada.
the states is
Yeah.
allowed to
They're
run
back
the
and
tankers
forth.
back and
They're
forth.
back
Yeah.
and forth with everything. And
Yeah.
hey, I get it. An oil spill is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we haven't had an oil spill in long. It's like people saying they're scared of nuclear energy because of what happened in Chernobyl. Well, Jesus, I was a kid when Chernobyl happened. The
Right.
Yeah.
technology that is in advanced, the innovation that we have now, whether we're
Mhm.
talking nuclear energy, which I think is something we need to be looking at more seriously,
Mhm.
we're talking
I heard about that.
tankers, the technology, the everything that we have now is unbelievable. The safety
Mhm.
measures in place, the environmental measures that are in place, the responses that are in place. This isn't the 1980s. This is not
Mhm.
the 80s. And
Yeah.
we need to be looking at how do we do things better? We innovate and we look at best practices, around the world and around the country and bring those in. And, there is room for pipelines. There is room to get our resources to the rest of the world that, again, if they don't get it from us, they're going to go to someone else. It's not,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and at the end of the day, we talk emissions, Canada is not the problem.
Mhm.
Like Canada is like 1.5 or 1.6% of the global emissions. Canada.
Mhm.
British
Mhm.
Yeah.
Columbia is like just a minute fraction of that.
Mhm.
Why would we not be trying to get our stuff to India, our natural gas definitely to India, to China,
Yeah.
where these countries are still burning coal like there's no tomorrow
Yeah.
just to keep their lights
Yeah.
on? Like
Yeah.
we share the same globe.
Yeah.
That is an impact that Canada can have on improving the globe in regards to climate and all
Yeah.
the other issues. Yet we're sitting there. Canada needs, but we need to lead by example and stop burning gas and stop doing this. The rest of the world doesn't care what Canada's doing. They need these resources.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Canada can provide them in an environmental, safe, humanitarian way. Why
Mhm.
Mhm.
aren't we doing that? And at the same time, bolster an economy, supporting our people that need support. And like we should have gold roads right now if
Yeah.
done well. And
Yeah.
PWD, I wouldn't be talking about this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be an issue if we had an economy that was bolstered.
Well,
Yeah. You know
exactly.
what? We've come to the end of the podcast
Yeah.
already, Brent. So
Oh, wow.
that's a good mic drop
Oh, I
there,
need another
Dan.
hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
We'll
wound
have
you up. We wound you up.
back up again in the new year, and I
Well,
want
I'll
to.
have to come back on and like I say, the politics over the next 6 months is going to be pretty like it's going to be, the playoffs, the NHL playoffs here is what's
Yeah.
Oh,
right now.
especially like the hot topics of DRIPA
Oh yeah, huge.
and that's huge. And there's been a lot of call for David Eby to either reverse course or resign. And I've been seeing a lot of trending everywhere on that.
Well,
My neighbors in my building are all talking about that too. I'm going, oh my.
well, and
Oh,
and this is the challenge, and I was in the legislature when DRIPA passed.
yeah.
And it was very clear at that time that that document
Mhm.
was guiding principles, right? But now the courts have taken it somewhere else, and now it's becoming something. It's morphed into something that it probably
Mhm.
shouldn't have been. So,
Yeah.
it is going to be a very challenging predicament that the government is in. But my big focus is to be supporting and I'll be involved with the with the BC Conservatives again somehow. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm certainly looking at trying to get a good leader in place, and as the names come forward, I'll be picking a horse to bet on and
Yeah.
helping to rebuild a center right coalition Again, that to me, that is the only thing that is going to, get us back to some sanity in our province.
Absolutely. And Dan, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
appreciate it there,
today.
guys. Really do.
Yeah, and it's always a great pleasure having you on. I'm looking forward to having you on in the new year, and there'll be so much more. The time goes by on the podcast,
Oh,
so
I know, eh?
as
We
you
can
know,
make it a weekly hit, Dan.
Well,
yeah, yeah,
maybe you'll have me back on when we're in the middle of the leadership race, and
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
talk a
yeah,
little
we
more
are.
about
Sure.
some policies and see what things are looking like in that regard. But
Yeah,
until then, guys, Merry Christmas, Happy
Yeah. Same
Holidays,
to you.
Happy New Year,
yeah.
Yeah.
Merry
and
Christmas to you,
let's
Dan.
keep in touch, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to thank you, Dan, former Minister Dan Davies from
St.
uh,
John.
yeah, Fort St. John. Yeah, I always get all those mixed up, but thank you so much for coming on, and thank you very much for our viewers and listeners for tuning in today. Please like, subscribe, and share the content. And as always, be humble and have a great day. And we'll stay tuned to our next podcast coming up later this week. Until then, have a great day. Take care.
Bye-bye.